I, a 24-year-old female, am in a tricky situation with my family. I think I am doing the right thing, but everyone is acting like I am being the villain. I live in a house with my parents and my grandmother. All of us work full-time, except my grandmother who is retired. I pay rent to contribute towards utilities and help my parents with their mortgage payments. I also pay the internet bill, streaming subscriptions, and phone bills. My younger sister, Holly, a 22-year-old female, moved back into the house around 4 weeks ago. She got pregnant at 16, and at 17, she moved out into her boyfriend's parents' house. They got married as soon as they were both 18 and now have 4 children. In the summer, they moved out of his parents' house and into a rental house. They ended up fighting a lot over disagreements on how the household chores should be split and some various other issues to do with the house. They soon separated, and their divorce is in progress. Holly came back here, and her ex moved back in with his parents and took the children with him. She sees them for a few hours on weekends and seems fine with this arrangement, much to my parents' dismay. I do not have an issue with Holly being here, and I know she needed somewhere to stay and her family support. My issue is that she has spent this whole time moping around the house, scrolling on TikTok all day, and going out with friends. She does not clean up after herself or help out with any household chores. She has never had a job, having been a stay-at-home mother with the children. She keeps saying she will get one, but has not even started job hunting, despite my brother and I writing a resume for her. My parents have been paying for all her expenses. One of my friends is a manager at a cafe, and she told me they were hiring and that Holly could get a job there if she is willing to learn how to be a barista. I told Holly about this, and she immediately shut me down and said that she will not work in a cafe because it is embarrassing and she does not want to work early mornings. This turned into an argument because I could not understand why Holly would turn this down and feels like she is just being lazy or picky. I told Holly she cannot just mope around the house all day, every day, and she needs to get a job or think about college. Holly told me to go away and said that it is her life. My parents got involved and told me that it has not been that long since the separation and that I cannot expect her to be happy and normal. They said that she needs time and that my expectations of her are too high. I think they are being too soft on her and she needs to stop acting like a teenager. Am I the asshole?
AITA for parking wherever a spot is open in my complex, even after my neighbor confronted me? So I moved about 3 months ago and everything has been great until this past week. It's a little townhome community where there is a parking lot in the middle surrounded by the 4 wide townhome buildings, with one entrance and exit road and one side not lined with homes. When moving, I specifically asked about parking because my household would have 3 cars. We were told there are way more spots than townhomes, no limits on cars, and no assigned spots. Since moving in, my household has rotated parking spots to wherever one is open. Sometimes there's one right at our door, sometimes all the way across the lot, or sometimes in one of the side spaces behind other buildings in the complex. With the way the parking lot is set up, there is not a situation where each unit has a space right at their door. There are multiple units that don't have a spot in front because they are on the corners. Just this past week, one of the neighbors pulled up long honking after dark, and when I went to look out the window, started yelling at me for parking in the spots at the back of my unit. I kept my voice at normal volume and explained there's no assigned parking and I park wherever a spot is open, even far in the back sometimes, and she continued to yell. From what I gathered, she was mad that my wife's car was parked next to mine because we were taking up all the close spaces and parked there all the time. I'll admit the cars hadn't moved over the weekend because one is my work truck, but as I said, we constantly park wherever there is open space. I closed my door and did not move a car for her. I brushed off that encounter after talking to other neighbors and hearing she is constantly trying to direct neighbors into other parking spots even before I moved in. But another encounter happened today. This time it was different neighbors from the farther perpendicular building. I had parked on that row because there were no spots in front of my building like multiple times before. A couple I had never seen before came and knocked on my door, told me I parked in the spot on their lease, and confirmed it was my car by saying the make and model. I explained I was told there were no assigned spots when I moved in, and the couple mentioned the confrontation I had with their neighbor. I was confused because they're multiple units apart, about parking before. I moved my car for them because they were actually calm and semi-polite, but I am annoyed. I guess I just want outside opinions if I am the AITA or the first neighbor is. Am I wrong for parking 2 cars in front of my unit? Am I wrong for parking behind someone else's unit? Where else do I park? Ask away with clarification below. I really paraphrased. In summary, AITA for parking in whatever spot is open in my complex with no assigned parking, whether that's 2 cars next to each other close to my unit or near someone else's unit.
When I was 18 years old, I took American Sign Language lessons in high school, but up until recently, I had never befriended a deaf person. This year, when I started college, there was a deaf-mute individual in my class who used an interpreter during lessons. Although everyone treated him kindly, no one went out of their way to truly understand him, leaving him without close friends. I am not criticizing their behavior. If I had not learned sign language previously, I might not have made the effort either. Upon revealing my knowledge of sign language to him and initiating a signed conversation, we naturally grew close. Since September, our daily signing practice has significantly enhanced my skills. About a week ago, my deaf friend suggested that I resume formal American Sign Language lessons, to which I playfully replied, "That is what you are for." I intended this comment as a joke and laughed immediately after making it. However, perhaps due to a miscommunication in signing on my part, he misunderstood and took offense. I promptly apologized, explaining the lighthearted nature of my remark. He acknowledged the situation and even offered his apologies for becoming upset in the first place. Despite acting somewhat withdrawn for a few more days, he ultimately forgave me and our friendship returned to normal. However, today, a mutual acquaintance approached me, noting the recent distance between my deaf friend and me, and inquired if everything was alright. I confessed to the minor disagreement, but assured him it had been resolved and we were now on good terms. For reasons unknown to me, our mutual acquaintance could not let the topic rest. Initially, he made wisecracks such as, "There's some truth in every joke," which I dismissed with a chuckle. Then, astonishingly, he remarked, "I knew you would not associate with a person like him without reason." Confused and taken aback, I questioned his meaning, informing him that his statement was incredibly rude. He retorted, insisting on its veracity. In response, I accused him of bigotry, being an asshole, and ableism, which seemed to strike a nerve. He retaliated by asserting my hypocrisy and alleging that I was exploiting a disabled individual for my personal gain. Thus, I posed the question, am I the asshole in this situation? In a captivating tale of family dynamics and questionable decisions, a young man finds himself at odds with his older brother over an automobile. The story begins approximately 11 months ago when the elder brother, in his 20s, becomes romantically involved with a woman. After a whirlwind courtship of a mere 5 months, the couple decides to take the relationship to the next level and become engaged. From the very beginning, the younger brother harbors an unsettling feeling about his sibling's fiancée. Wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt, he attempts to maintain a neutral stance. However, as time progresses, a series of increasingly concerning events unfolds. The tension reaches a boiling point when the elder brother announces his intention to sell his relatively new, fairly expensive vehicle. The car in question was purchased with financial assistance from their parents, who lent him approximately $14,000 to acquire the coveted BMW. Initially, the brother denies any external influence, but it soon becomes apparent that his fiancée is the driving force behind this decision. Perplexed by the sudden change of heart, the younger brother questions the rationale behind selling a vehicle over minor, fixable issues such as a flat tire or a loose mirror.
Adding to the bewilderment is the fact that the fiancé neither possesses a car nor a valid driver's license, rendering her unable to operate the vehicle in question. Further complicating matters, the elder brother confesses that he only purchased the BMW to impress his then girlfriend, despite not particularly caring for the make and model himself. Frustration mounts as the parents, particularly the father, express their disapproval but ultimately respect their adult son's autonomy in the matter. The conflict reaches its peak when the elder brother and father unilaterally decide that the former will drive the younger brother's old car until a new one is procured. Furious at this blatant disregard for his ownership and concerned about his siblings' reckless driving habits, the younger brother confronts them. He passionately argued that the fiancé's erratic behavior and manipulation should not grant them the right to make decisions about his vehicle without his consent. In the aftermath of the confrontation, tensions remain high within the family. The elder brother accuses his younger sibling of being cold-hearted and incapable of understanding love, while the parents insist that the situation is not as severe as it seems. As the dust settles, the younger brother is left questioning whether his reaction was justified or if he overreacted to the situation at hand.
Hello, I am pregnant with my first child and I tend to go overboard with hypotheticals. I've been trying to curb that behavior as we are stressed enough without adding my irrational what-ifs to the mix. One worry that I have is leaving our baby in the backseat of the car. I may be more anxious about it due to my coworker's daughter nearly dying from being left in the car in the summer heat a few years ago. One of the first things I asked my husband was to check the back seat every time he gets out of the car just so we can make a habit of it. He understood why I was asking and agreed immediately. A month ago, we were looking for a mobile we brought home from my mom's house. We tore the house apart for days looking for it and figured we left it behind on accident. While using my husband's car, I found the mobile, not hidden or obscured, but right where we left it on the center seat. I brought it up to my husband, who didn't seem alarmed. He laughed it off as my pregnancy brain. I told him it's been in the back seat this whole time and you didn't notice it. He said it was just decor and he didn't register it as important, even though we were looking for it for days. I reminded him how important it was that he checked the back seat every time he got out of the car, but the gnawing feeling that he's been neglecting looking in the back sat with me for another week before I decided to test it. I took a bright pink post-it and wrote a note asking him to text me when he sees it and stuck it on the back seat right in his line of sight. After another week of zero text or acknowledgement, I asked him if he was really checking the back every day. He promised that he was, so I asked him why he never responded to my note. His reply, "What note?" I freaked out. I yelled about how important it was we check the back seat every time we were in the car, especially since we both have ADHD, and when it's out of sight, it's out of mind for us. He said that I was being crazy and irrational, and I was setting up tests for him to fail. This spiraled into a fight. He admitted that he hasn't been checking the backseat every day like I asked, and the idea of forgetting a baby in the car is ridiculous and could never happen to us. I brought up every summer there are news reports of babies dying because their parents left them in a hot car. He called those parents irresponsible, said it could never be us. I asked him if he thought my coworker was one of those irresponsible parents. He had no response and asked to table the discussion until we had time to cool off. I agreed, but we have yet to return to it. Since then, anytime we talk about the baby, he'll ask if I think this is another way he'll accidentally kill the baby. My husband is not a passive-aggressive person, and I'm realizing how hurt he is by all this. I want to try explain in a calm way how I feel and how important I find it, but with his behavior lately, I'm starting to wonder if he's right, and am I the asshole? I, a 21-year-old non-binary person, live with my mom and stepfather. My room is messy, largely because I lack proper storage for my books and belongings. I also keep my door open for my cat, Boris, as his food, water, and litter box are in my room. The issue is my stepsister's visits with her 1-year-old daughter, Allie, who is actually closer to 2 years old at the time of posting. Allie loves Boris, but he is clearly uncomfortable with her loud, eager approaches and always runs away. Since he retreats to my room, she follows him in there. Allie touches everything, grabbing trinkets, going for my plushies, many of which are expensive, limited edition, or deeply sentimental, and risking damage to my school laptop or textbooks. I'm worried she'll break something or choke.
I've repeatedly told my family I don't want Allie in my room. My mom dismisses me, saying I should just clean my room, which is difficult without proper storage. There's hypocrisy too. She warns me to keep Allie away from Boris's blankets due to cat hair, but has no issue with her rolling on my fur-covered bed. Once, I closed my door to create a safe space for Boris and protect my things. Allie cried because she couldn't get to the cat, and my mom acted like I was being cruel. The final straw was a mealtime incident. Allie constantly tests boundaries by putting her feet on the table. I calmly told her if she did it again, I'd move her chair. She did, so I followed through, pulling her high chair back so her feet couldn't reach. She cried. Later, my mom criticized my attitude, saying I should have at least smiled to make it seem nicer. I disagree. I believe discipline should be calm and consistent, not turned into a game. Now I'm being painted as the bad guy for setting boundaries. I don't hate Allie, I just want to protect my cat and my possessions. Am I the asshole for trying to set a boundary? I should probably clarify that my room is messy in the sense that my things are untidy on my desk and bedside tables. The floor is mostly clean as I do vacuum clean it to try and not build up litter that Boris spreads. And the bed sheets are changed every 2 weeks. I am 21 and still in high school. Yes, I got held back and changed courses a few times. This is my last year of high school. It's also common for young illegal adults to be still taking classes or finishing their studies in high school. After getting paid for my internship, I will look into shelves and ways to properly store my things. Allie also lives with a bunny and a big dog, though the bunny is barely out of the cage and the dog is also heavily supervised one with Allie because it is of a potentially dangerous dog breed.